Pilgrims. Hello, dear pilgrims. Here we are in Fátima, a place of prayer. This week was the week of the 13th, marking the first apparition of Our Lady on the 13th of May, 1917. Was a special week, but also a sad week. No pilgrims here at the shrine. Was a quiet time. Tears came to my eyes to see the shrine empty with no pilgrims. But it's also a time to receive Our Lady in our houses, like our Bishop Antonio Marto said during the ceremonies. I hope that you saw the ceremonies at the television. Was special and moving to see the quietness of the shrine. And well, this is the sanctuary square called the Cova da Iria, the Valley of Peace. And well, at the time of the apparitions, this was just an isolated field. And today we are here to do a little introduction about the apparitions, to tell you some important points that occurred during the apparitions. As you know, the three little shepherds, their names Francisco, Jacinta and Lucia. Francisco and Jacinta, brother and sister. Jacinta, she was the youngest of the three shepherds. And Lucia, she was a cousin of Francisco and Jacinta. At the time of the apparitions, she was 10 years old. She was the oldest of the three little shepherds. And well, they were simple children, and they loved coming here with their sheep, herding their sheep here. And, you know, they had just started to mind the sheep of the family, and because they were just starting, they didn't want to join the other shepherds, so they walked a little far from their houses. They came here to the Cova da Iria. The family, they had some land here, and well, they were here herding their sheep, and then the children saw a light in the sky. Fearing a thunderstorm, they began their way down home. They had just reached the place where the capelinha now stands. And then there was a second flash of light. They saw in front of them a lady of dazzling light. She was holding a white rosary on her hands. She told them to not be afraid. And then Lucia asked, "Who are you?" "I am from heaven." "What do you want of me?" "I want you to come here to this same spot on the 13th day of every month. I want you to pray the rosary for the end of war." Lucia said yes. At that time, Jacinta and Lucia, they were the only ones that could see and hear Our Lady. Francisco, he never heard a word that Our Lady was saying. He was not deaf. It was our Lord and Our Lady's will. Jacinta, the little sister, she used to repeat what Our Lady was saying for Francisco to know what Our Lady was saying. Then Our Lady asked them if they would accept some suffering that the Lord might send them. Lucia said yes. From the beginning, they knew that they had to suffer. After this first apparition, the three shepherds, they made a pact to not tell anyone about this vision. But little Jacinta, she couldn't keep this secret, and on their way back home, she kept saying, "Oh, the beautiful lady from heaven, the beautiful lady from heaven." And Lucia, "Jacinta, you can't tell anyone." When they arrived home, the first thing Jacinta told the family. And at the beginning, there was a total disbelief. No one believed the children, especially at Lucia's family. The mother, Maria Rosa, she was always tortured by doubt. She couldn't believe her daughter. Stop lying, Lucia. Why are you doing this to our family? This is things from the devil. I will take you to the parish priest. Stop doing this. Was a big suffering for Lucia, her own mother, not believing on her. On the 13th of June, the second apparition of Our Lady here, was the feast of Saint Anthony, the patron saint of Portugal. Big feasts all over Portugal. And feasts were happening near the parish church. And you know, when we have the feast of our saint, no one wants to miss the feast. And Lucia's mother, she was thinking, this is all a lie. The children are not going to miss the feast of Saint Anthony. And the day came, and the three shepherds, they missed the feast. They came back to the Covadeiria to keep their rendezvous with Our Lady. And this time, Our Lady reminded them to pray the rosary every day. In all the apparitions, Our Lady reminding them to pray the rosary every day for the end of war. And then Lucia asked, will you take me to heaven soon? Our Lady told them that she would take Francisco and Jacinta soon to heaven. But Lucia, she had to stay some time longer on earth because God wishes to use her to make better known of her Immaculate Heart. Lucia said, oh, I will be left on my own. Our Lady told her, you will never be alone, my daughter. My heart will be your refuge and the way that will lead you to God. These words were the help for Lucia to continue her life without her two very best friends. She stayed some time longer. The two cousins, Francisco and Jacinta, they died young with the Spanish flu, a kind of a pneumonia. Was a contagious disease, more or less what we are passing at this time with the pandemic of the virus, coronavirus. And many people in Europe lost their lives with that Spanish flu. And Francisco and Jacinta, they got it. They contracted the Spanish flu. And the first one to die was little Francisco. He died with 11 years old on the year 1919. With 11 years old. He died at home. And little Jacinta, she got the Spanish flu too. She died 1 year after the brother, 1920, with 10 years old. And Lucia, she stayed some time longer. She died with 97 years old on the 13th of February 2005. Lucia, her last words were, for the Holy Father, Our Lady, Holy Angels, Heart of Jesus, we are going, we are going. The priest beside Lucia asked, with who? With Our Lady, our Lord, and the three little shepherds of Fátima. These were the last words of Sister Lucia. So she stayed some time longer. She's not beatified yet. She has been declared venerable, and we are praying hard for her beatification. The two cousins, Francisco and Jacinta, have been canonized by Pope Francis, that came here to Portugal for the first time, the year 2017, the year of the centenary year in Fátima. Was a wonderful atmosphere and was a special time. The two youngest saints in the Catholic Church not martyred. Two powerful saints that we can pray to them now at this hard time, and of course to Lucia too. A piece of the Berlin Wall. Why have we here a piece of the Berlin Wall? Well, there is a connection with the fall of the Berlin Wall and the apparitions of Our Lady. The 13th of July. Again, Our Lady reminding the three little shepherds of Fátima to pray the rosary every day. And then she went on speaking about Russia, that if people didn't stop offending God, if people didn't amend their lives, another terrible war would come, and Russia would spread the errors throughout the world. At the beginning, the three little shepherds, they didn't understand what Our Lady was saying. They thought that Russia was the name of an animal. You know, they were just starting to go to school and they didn't know what Russia was. And well, Our Lady told them that she would return to ask for the consecration of Russia to her Immaculate Heart. Our Lady came to ask for this consecration after Francisco and Jacinta's death. Well, Lucia, she left Fátima on 1920. She went to the north of Portugal, to Oporto, to a Dorothean college. And then she left to Spain, to Pontevedra, and then to Tui. And in Spain, there were apparitions of Our Lady to Lucia. First, the apparition of 1925. Our Lady appeared in the room of Sister Lucia, asking for the devotion of the first 5 Saturdays. The devotion of the first Saturdays. For 5 first Saturdays, to go to Mass, to go to confession, to pray the Rosary, and to keep company to Our Lady for 15 minutes, meditating on the 15 mysteries of the Rosary. Our Lady would give graces to these people at the hour of death. Then, in 1929, Our Lady appeared in the chapel of the convent in Tui. Lucia was doing an hour of adoration in the chapel. And then she saw Our Lady. Our Lady came to remind her on the consecration of Russia to her Immaculate Heart, the need of the consecration. And then the Holy Trinity appeared over the altar to Lucia. And well, after this apparition, many consecrations of Portugal to the Immaculate Heart of Mary. And the first consecration of the world to the Immaculate Heart of Mary was by Pope Pius XII in 1942. According to Our Lady, not all the bishops of the world were present. This consecration was not accepted. Only in 1984, Saint Pope John Paul II consecrated the world in union with all the bishops of the world, with a special mention of Russia. This consecration was made in St. Peter's Square in Rome, in front of the statue of Our Lady of Fátima, the statue that is standing at the Capelinha every day, left Fátima for that consecration. And after that, changes began. Gorbachev came into power. Lucia said that he was the big instrument for the big changes. The fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989. No one would ever say that the Berlin Wall would fall. The collapse of communism. That's why that we have here a piece of the Berlin Wall to remind us that part of the apparitions. And then Our Lady told them the secret of Fátima, divided in 3 different parts. First, the vision of hell. Sometimes people don't like this part of the apparitions, but it's real, it's true. Hell exists. And Our Lady told them, you have seen hell, where the souls of poor sinners go. In order to save them, God wishes to establish devotion to my Immaculate Heart. After this vision, the 3 little shepherds of Fátima were terrified, especially Jacinta. She was saying, If I just could show hell to the sinners. If I just could show hell to the sinners. And this vision changed them. They started to spend more time on their own, praying all the time, making sacrifices all the time for these sinners. This vision changed them. That's why that we have to tell our children that there's hell and heaven. The second part of the apparition, Our Lady telling them of another war coming. If people didn't stop offending God, didn't amend their lives, another war would come. The Second World War came. People didn't listen. The third part of the secret, the connection with the attempt on Pope John Paul II. The children, they saw an angel with a sword in flames. The flames seemed to set the world on fire, but the rays of light of Our Lady stopped that flames. The angel said 3 times very loud, "Penance, penance, penance." And then they saw a hill. On the top of the hill, a cross. And a bishop in white started to climb that hill. They got the impression that was the Holy Father. People behind him, following him, climbing the hill. Religious people, lay people, following him, climbing the hill. As they were climbing the hill, they passed a town in ruins. And when they reached the top of the hill, soldiers from the other side started to fire bullets and arrows, and the first one to die, the one that they got the impression that was the Holy Father. And one person after the other dying, and 2 angels were there collecting the blood of these people that were dying. But well, a prophecy doesn't have to happen. Pope John Paul II was not killed, and himself, he believed that Our Lady protected him with her hand. And well, many special things occurred on that day to save him. And well, was the special day, the 13th of May, 1981, marking the first apparition of Our Lady. The bullet came in and didn't kill him.
The apparition in August didn't occur here in the Covadeiria. The children, they were making their way from their home to the Covadeiria when they were arrested by the administrator of the town hall of Orein. So the children, they were put in prison for interrogation. And the children, they even thought that Our Lady would appear to them there, but she didn't. So she appeared later on to them on the 19th of August 1917 in a place called Valinhos, near their homes. Next week we are going there and we are going to explain you what happened there and what Our Lady told them in that apparition. So the 13th of September 1917, Our Lady appeared again here in the place where is now the Capelinha, the Chapel of Apparitions, and this time Our Lady asked them to keep saying the Rosary every day for the end of the war. And she told the children the importance of saying the Rosary. The prayer of the Rosary was so important for the conversion of sinners. And Our Lady asked them to keep going there, and in the following month, the 13th of October, Our Lady would perform the miracle to make people believe that she was really appearing to the 3 shepherds in Fátima. So the 13th of October came. This day, a lot of people from all over Portugal came to the Covadeiria because they wanted to see this miracle. Around 70,000 people, they were around. And it was a rainy day. The newspapers from the capital city of Portugal, Lisbon, they came here because they wanted to register this miracle as well. So they even described in a newspaper, O Século, that was a pouring day. Was a sea of mud in Fátima. So, but even like that, people, they were here, they remained here waiting for the children. And the children, they came that at noon at the same time to the place where Our Lady appeared to them. And Our Lady appeared to them at the same time at noon. And this time she opened her hands and she made the light of her hands reflected in the sun, and the sun started to go round and round. They came on earth and going up, and people, they were terrified. They thought that was the end of the world. Some people, they were praying, some people, they were kneeling and screaming because they thought that they were going to die. And while this vision of the sun happened, and while this miracle of the sun happened, the children, they had different visions. They saw Our Lady with the blue mantle. Beside Our Lady was Saint Joseph with the child Jesus, and they made the sign of the cross. Then they saw Jesus as a man doing the sign of the cross, and then they saw Our Lady of Mount Carmel. How the children knew that was Our Lady of Mount Carmel? They explained, and Lucia in her memoirs explained, that Our Lady was dressing the same way with the same robes of the Our Lady represented in a painting in the parish church. So the 13th of October was also very important because people, they started to believe in the apparitions of Fatima. Was also in this apparition on the 13th of October that she revealed who she was. She said that she was Our Lady of the Rosary. Now I'm going to show you some places here connected with Fatima. I start with the path that you'll see here. Usually we always see people doing their knees and saying the rosary. And why people, they do that in Fatima? This goes back to a story that happened with Lucia, with her sisters, and with her mother. Her mother, as Karina told you already, she was always very reluctant to believe that her daughter saw Our Lady. So the sisters of Lucia, they were always blaming Lucia because the family was a happy family until the apparitions, but not after the apparitions. Lucia's mother didn't believe her daughter. Some people, they didn't believe her, and they were going there and calling her names. And Lucia's mother, Maria Rosa, she was always very sad. So Lucia's sisters, they blamed Lucia when Lucia's mother got very sick. And she was really very, very sick, and she was going to die. And Lucia's sisters at that time told Lucia, "Oh, you are the one supposed to see Our Lady. So go there and ask Our Lady to cure our mother." So poor Lucia, she came here. She asked deeply Our Lady to cure her mother, and she promised, in case her mother would be better and saved, she would come with her sisters from the top of the hill of Covadeiria on their knees, saying the rosary until the place where Our Lady appeared to them. So she went back home, and her mother had improved. 3 days afterwards, her mother was perfect. She was much better, and she came with her sisters to the Covadeiria, and they came from the top of the hill on their knees, saying the rosary until where stands now the Capelinha. That's why people, they started to do this as a sacrifice, as a fulfill of a promise, as penance for the conversion of sinners. So they do it for different reasons, but they started to do it from that time on. So we always see people here doing their needs. We have also a place where we light candles, and people, they always like to light a candle when they come to Fatima, and is situated just behind the Capelinha. We are behind the Capelinha, the Chapel of Apparitions, where we can light candles. So behind me is the candles lit. And we are going to this part where you can see some figures in wax, because it's part of our culture to burn in wax figures that we want to be cured. I know that is not part of your tradition, of your culture, but people, when they have, for instance, a problem, disease, heart problem or something, they burn in wax the figure of the thing, of the part of the body that they want to be healed. So you can see here, for instance, we have different parts of the body. For instance, we have here the intestines. For instance, we have the house. People, because of this pandemic, they are afraid to lose their homes because they don't have money to pay the mortgages. So they come here and they burn a house in wax to ask Our Lady to help them to save the house. So this is part of our culture, and is very normal in Portugal, in Fátima, to see these different type of figures. We are here beside the old oak tree. This is the old oak tree of Fátima that was here at the time of the apparitions, but is not the tree where Our Lady stood on. The tree that Our Lady stood on, the old oak tree, the same type of this one, was in the place where is now the Capellina. Just behind me is the Capellina, the Chapel of Apparition, that marks the exact spot where Our Lady appeared. And just in front of the Capellina is the statue of Our Lady, standing in a marble column. And that is the exact spot where the tree was. The tree doesn't exist anymore because people, after the apparitions, they were taking pieces of the tree for souvenirs, for relics, and the tree doesn't exist anymore. And this tree was at that time here, was at the time of the apparitions here. This is the main altar of the Sanctuary Square. It's from here that we have Mass every Sunday at 11 o'clock, the International Mass. All the groups and pilgrims, they come to this Mass on Sundays. And then we have also from here the Masses and the ceremonies of the 12th and 13th of each month, May until October, to mark the anniversary of the apparitions of Fátima. So for today is everything. I hope that you enjoyed this virtual pilgrimage in the Sanctuary Square of Fátima. And don't forget, every Friday we'll post one part of the pilgrimage. Next Friday we'll have more news, so stay with us, keep safe, and God bless you all.